Hi everybody, this is Anna Maria Tabernick, back for my next video. Over the last 6 weeks, I have met with hundreds of residents in dozens of meet and greet get-togethers in private homes. And when I've talked to these residents, I've listened to their concerns, heard what's important to them in Sun City, and answered their questions. One of the things that comes up over and over when I'm in these gatherings is, why do we have a reserve fund? Why can't we just use that money that's stashed away for our operating expenses? And where does the money come that's in that fund? Where does it come from? And what is it used for? Well, we have a reserve fund. It's used for restricted use to do major renovations and replacement and repairs of long-term assets. Things like needing to repair the roof or replace it on Magnolia Commons, rejuvenating our roadways, repairing our sidewalks when the tree roots uproot them, replacing our pool pumps, maintaining our tennis courts. Those kinds of items are budgeted for in our reserve account. Currently, Sun City has $18 million by this year end in our reserve account. Now, that will take us to a funding level of about 85%, as noted by our reserve evaluation company. So, why do we care what percent we're funded? Why is that important? Well, let me put it in perspective for you. If an association has a reserve fund at around 30%, that means they are at a high risk for a special assessment, or they may need to defer maintenance on items because they simply don't have the funding. That would be considered weak funding of a reserve fund. If an association, however, is at 70% funding or more in their reserves, they are considered to be strong. They would be at a very minimal, almost a rare risk of having to levy a special assessment or having to defer maintenance. We are currently at 85%. So in Sun City, our reserve fund is strong and healthy. Where does the money come from in the reserve account? People want to know, how do we get it? Well, first of all, every one of us pays $2,100 a year in our HOA fee. So per rooftop, we're all contributing $375 of that $2,100 directly to the reserve fund. With over 8,000 homes, currently it would be over $3 million a year put into the reserve fund from our HOA assessment. Another place some of the funding is from, if you recall in my last video, we talked about the budget. I talked about the enhancement fee. This was put in 2016 by the board, and that enhancement fee is $1,000 on every resale is directly deposited into our reserve fund. This year it will be over $400,000 generated by the enhancement fee. We also get some investment income that enhances our fund, and there are other ways that we generate income for the fund. So what do we use all this money for? Why do we have to have $18 million? Our reserve budget this year is $4.3 million, and it includes carryover from 2016. Now you might ask, why would we carry it over? Why didn't we complete everything that was in the budget last year? Well, sometimes when you go up to look at the roof, you may find that it needs to be repaired and not replaced. So for example, when our roofs were looked at this year, we budgeted Palmetto Commons and the Craft Center to replace the roofs. When they were inspected further, they were pushed back to 2020. So if we do not need to make a replacement, we don't do it. This is prudent use of our reserve funds. And I would liken it to your own home. Let's say you have a leak in your roof in the living room, and you ask a roofer to go look at it. He says to you, I could fix that. It'll be about $600 to repair it. Your roof's in good shape, should last you for 4 or 5 more years. You would choose to repair it at a cost of $600 versus replacing it at a cost of $10,000 on the advice of the roofer. This happens here as well. If we don't need to replace something, we don't spend the money. We prudently are conservative with our reserve funds. We want to protect them because as we go forward and we're an aging facility, we will need those funds. So, if you believe in fiscal oversight, financial responsibility, and you believe we need to protect our reserve fund, I ask you to vote to retain me on the board of directors. I understand this. I am resident focused. I live here, I play here, I own here. I thank you for listening, and be sure to check my YouTube channel for videos on other topics. Thank you.